Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster, and seeing it's been a little while since I've done a woodworking video, I thought I'd do one today. It has been a while since I've been in the workshop to actually do any proper woodwork. And what I thought I'd do is I'm going to try making another bowl, but I'm going to use a technique I've not tried before, and to be honest I don't even know if this will work. So hopefully we'll find out together whether or not I'm wasting my time or not. But what I've done, I've just cut off a little wooden blank, sort of similar to what maybe a bowl turner would use on a lathe. And what I'm going to do, you can see I've marked out here a nice circle which is going to be the bowl section of my bowl. And what I want to do is see if I can make a bowl through carving out the end grain, which is not something I would normally do. So what I'm going to do, I think it'd give a good chance to use my my carving bench as well. So if I bring the camera a little bit closer in, I'll show you first and foremost how we lock this bit of material in place in the carving bench, and then we'll go from there. So hopefully you can see this, guys. This is the blank, and what I want to do is secure it in place here so I can get my my gouge out and start taking out some material. Now first and foremost I'm going to use some wooden wedges. So I've got a piece here, I've got another piece here, and that's going to butt this right up here. Now I've also got a bit of offcut that I was playing around when I first bought my adze, and hopefully you can see that it's got a little bit of a depression in it. And because this wood is rounded, what I want to do is put that there so it's going to sort of catch the wood a little bit. And then I'm going to put in this piece here, and if I see if I've got another slightly thicker bit here, and that, you see that doesn't quite fit in there, it's a very tight fit. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my mallet and another offcut piece of wood just to wedge that in there. Now there is a little bit of movement. Hopefully that's going to be okay. I can always play around with this a little bit later on, to be honest, if I need to. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my gouge here. Hopefully you can see the sort of the sweep on there. It's not a particularly deep gouge, and I don't need anything too deep for this. And what you want to do is start from roughly the centre of your bowl and basically start making a shallow depression. Now this is very green wood, it's still very wet. It's moving around a little bit there, so maybe I'll just adjust this now before. A little bit better. And what you want to do, guys, is just start taking out the centre of your bowl, and you do need to start from the centre. If you start from the sides here and work your way in, what you'll find is it gets very difficult to keep the bowl smooth and even when you start getting to the middle, because you've got to start taking big chunks out of the middle. So what you want to do is try and get this sort of as deep as you can get it realistically without splitting the wood too much, then work your way back to the edges. And then once you've got a nice smooth bowl, you can then start from the centre again and work your way back, and that way you're always keeping the centre slightly deeper than the rest of the bowl, so you're sort of building up the scoop in the bowl as you go along. Now again, I could use my adze for this, and there's absolutely no reason why not. I thought I'd try using just a gouge today. The reason being is that the adze is very good at removing material very quickly, but it does leave a slightly uneven finish. And you can smooth that out with your gouge, with no problem with that at all. But I want to see if I can sort of have a continuously smooth finish by just using the gouge. So what I'll do, I'm going to move this around a little bit, guys, because this is starting to wobble a little bit. I'll see if I can get that a bit more secured. I'll try and take a little bit more off, and we'll come back once I'm ready for the next stage. Okay guys, well I've had to change tactic ever so slightly. I was finding this was moving around a little bit too much because it was circular. Obviously a squared off piece of wood would work much better in the carving bench. So what I've done, I've stuck a couple of little dowels into the tree stump here, so that's a nice solid stop. And all I'm going to do is just carry on a little bit, working around the edges. Right guys, so as you can see, we've made a little bit of progress. Hopefully if I get this at the right angle you'll be able to start seeing the dip of the bowl here. Now it's still very, very shallow. Yeah, that's probably maybe ½ an inch deep at the moment, something like that. But that's where this method, unlike some of the others that I use, kind of takes a little bit more time. Now the one thing I will say, and having not tried this method before, working on the end grain is a lot harder than working with the grain. And if you've seen any of my other bowl videos, you'll kind of be able to see what I mean. But what I'm going to do, I mean, I could still carry on just kind of hacking away at this and sort of chiseling it out almost. But what I'm actually doing now is I've moved over to just sort of very gently pushing with the gouge. And again, you can kind of help it along, and you can do it sort of in this method. If you get caught up on something, you will find places where you'll just be able to run the gouge straight down like this, and you'll get off one nice big piece sort of from the edge of the bowl all the way to the middle. Others, there'll be high spots like this where you kind of need to help it along a little bit. But what I will say is make sure that you don't use too much pressure. You're not really trying to drive this gouge in and take out really large chunks. What you're looking to do is first and foremost shave off the high spots, and also just get it sort of completely smoothed out. You know, you're not trying to remove loads of material in one go, and it's, people who I've seen who are new to carving kind of make that mistake where you think, right, I really want to try and scoop this, almost like you're using a spoon on a piece of soft fruit, and you're trying to get the great big gouges out, and it doesn't really work when you're working with wood. Same when you're using an adze, same when you're using an axe to a degree. So what you want to do is just very gently and carefully just keep removing small layers of the timber, and what will happen is you will gradually make this deeper and deeper, but you're keeping it smooth at the same time. So what I'll do, I'm going to carry on with this for a little while. To be honest, it's going to take quite a long time. So rather than having a sort of very long boring section of fast forwarded video, I will come back when I've got this in a little better shape. One other thing to mention while I remember it, I don't know if you can see, hopefully on my palm here, now this is an old blister from about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where I was doing something very similar with a gouge and a chisel. Now what you want to remember is when you're holding your chisel, especially if you're using it for a long period of time, you kind of want the heel of your hand supporting the back of the chisel. Now I use my offhand, and I hold sort of the end, I suppose, yeah, the end of the chisel handle here, or the gouge handle, sorry, and I keep my last 2 fingers just resting on the metal of the gouge, and I use that to help guide me. And when you're doing something like this, I can barely feel any pressure back here. Whereas obviously if you really start pushing it as hard as you possibly can, all you're doing is putting pressure on your skin. This end of your chisel handle is sort of rubbing up and down and abrading your skin, and all you're going to do is get a huge blister after half an hour's worth of work. You really won't have made much progress at all, and then you're going to be potentially either you're going to have to put up with the pain, which no one really wants to do, or you're going to be out of commission for a couple of days while that blister heals. If you are someone that's new to carving and things like this, what you can do, you can wear a glove, you can take, say, a piece of material, and this is probably a little bit too big, but you can take a cloth of some description like that, and you can just use it literally like this as a cushion for your hand. Now this is too big, that does make it a little bit difficult to hold the chisel, but if I hold it like this, I mean, I wouldn't have all this just flapping around because it will just get in your way, but straight away I now can't feel any pressure from that chisel in my hand, but I'm still putting pressure behind it by driving it in with this rack. So again, just another little tip for you there, guys. I mean, I have seen people just take a wadded up piece of cloth, stick it on their hand, stick a bit of gaffer tape around it. It doesn't look pretty, but it certainly does the job. It's just something to think about. Right then guys, well, I'm not ashamed to admit that was quite a long, hard afternoon's worth of work. This is where we've got to so far. Hopefully, I'm not sure if you can get the perspective there, but we're probably about a couple of inches deep now. We're not entirely even all the way around. There's a lot of tool marks still on here, and hopefully you can see just about here there is a split developing in the centre of the bowl. Now it doesn't go all the way through to the other side, which is good news. Now whether that lasts or not is another matter. This is the problem with working on end grain, which is why it's something I don't do very often, but I'm going to persevere and see how it goes. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this aside and let it sort of dry out a little bit. I'm going to stick it in a plastic bag with some of the shavings that have come out, to hopefully allow it to dry out slowly enough that it doesn't check and crack too much. And we'll see how it goes. But what I'll do, this was part one. I'm going to split this into two parts because it was quite a long video. And when I get around to doing part two, I'll start carving this down a little bit with the axe, making slightly more of a bowl shape, and generally just tidying everything up. But I hope that was useful for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.